This is Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're both in the studio in Eagan, the Concierge Landscape Studios, and we're being brought to you by Extreme Exteriors. Let's hear now from the Community Associations Institute. The CAI Minute is brought to you by Start to Finish Maintenance Contractors. Start to Finish provides 24-hour service for all of your home and business maintenance needs. Call Start to Finish at 952-259-1219, 952-259-1219 for your home, for your business, for your peace of mind.
Are you a member of the Community Associations Institute? For nearly 40 years, CAI has provided education and resources to volunteer homeowners who govern community associations and the professionals who support them. Visit caionline.org to learn more. That address again is caionline.org. CAI helps community association board members by providing online resources, in-person training, and hard copy publications written by association management experts. CAI offers community managers professional development, networking opportunities, and a certification program that's established as the industry standard nationwide. Minnesota has its own chapter of the Community Associations Institute to bring resources and tools from community associations around the country right to your home. Visit caimn.com to learn more and become a member of CAI today. Your community and management company will benefit from your involvement. Join the Community Associations Institute today at caimn.com and click on Membership.
So, Gene, tell us more about these FHA regulations and explain how they are impacting the condo and townhome association industry.
Yes, I will. We're been talking about this article that came out July 10th from the Columbus Dispatch, and in it is a quote from FHA's acting commissioner, Robert Ryan. I'd like to read that again. He said, with the changes that just came out, he said we've institute revised guidelines that preserves FHA's role in the marketplace during these difficult times. And he says, and yet we can make certain that we're managing risk in a responsible way. We certainly know and understand that FHA's role is to make sure that the mortgages, the loans that are being asked for are sound.
Okay.
I mean, I think anybody wants that.
Sure.
We don't want anything in the marketplace where people haven't really thought through things. That's what got us in trouble.
That's right. Was the easy money. Easy money that was
isn't
available.
That true?
Absolutely.
And tell people a little bit about what that was like. It was called like an unstated.
There's lots of things. There's the undeclared. What happened, and this happened actually right after I had my little stint in the mortgage industry. All of a sudden, there were tons more loan products out there on the market trying to reach people who were unable to get loans before. It was a boom in lending and a boom in sales because all of a sudden, more people were able to get loans. You could, if you were willing to pay the higher interest, you could apply for a loan with stated income, meaning you just say how much you made and you don't have to provide any proof of that. Yeah. You could, what was the other one? Stated income, I can't remember now. Self-employed. And self-employed people would often want to do that because it's hard to prove your income if you're self-employed simply on your tax returns.
And I understand that because as a owner of a company, you have to have a track record of a few years. Otherwise, they're looking at you and they say, okay, well, you've got good income and that's 1 year, but we don't know if you are going to be around a long time. Sure. So you can see why it made sense
for some people.
For some people, because these were people who were probably very good, responsible. These are people who did not buy the utmost that they could afford.
They didn't spend more than they could afford. And Unfortunately, these new loan products encouraged many people to buy houses they could not afford. The adjustable rate mortgages were the other thing that really contributed to that because I can afford the payment now. What do I care what's going to happen in 3 years when my payment goes up? That's a long time from now.
People were very short-sighted at that point. They said, but look at the trend. The trend is 3 years later, the house is worth 30-40% more. Hey, I've just made X amount of dollars.
Right.
They saw this as free money.
Yep.
And that was the issue. So we can see a need. But where we are now, we now need to take a look at people who need to get out of these loans, people who purchased, and these are people who have worked something out with the mortgage company, or they went back and the mortgage company wants to get them off the books. And so we're talking about a different era now.
Yeah.
With people purchasing these homes,
right,
this real estate at a much different price than what it was 3-4 years ago.
Right.
But now they're making some rules that make me think they're really not thinking in the best interest.
Do you think this? So, are you saying this regulation was really fomented by the fact that lots of people defaulted on FHA loans?
Yes,
okay.
and I think
All
and I think that's the impetus that's in the back of the mind. Sure. But I don't know that what they're asking for is going to help. Let me give you an example. One of the rules that came out, it was FHA reaffirmed some of their most restrictive regulations.
Okay.
Number one, prohibiting FHA loans in an unfinished homeowner association where more than 50% of the loans are already FHA. So you're dealing with a property that is being built, people are buying for the first time, and you have the developer who has, let's say, 100 units. He has sold to date 65 units, still has 35% to go.
Right.
Most of them have all gotten FHA loans.
50% of those 65 sold homes have FHA loans.
The developer's still in control because let's say he hasn't gone through that 5-year period yet. After a 5-year period with the homeowner association, the state law mandates that the homeowner association, the individuals in the homeowner association, now take control
of the
association.
Yeah.
Or you get to that 75% sold mark when the developer gladly gives things over to the homeowners. So here you have a developer wanting to have that take place, but he can't get there. And now FHA says, well, you've got over 50% of the folks that have got FHA loans. You're an unfinished community. We're not going to give any more FHA loans.
You no longer qualify. Your buyers no longer will qualify for an FHA loan.
And when you take a look that FHA is responsible for 40% of the HOA market, that means that you've got a good number of homes that aren't going to close. Because of that. So that's an issue. I think it needs to be relooked at. Another one that is a concern, and that is FHA also says that at least 30% of any new community must be sold with loans other than FHA before FHA will consider doing a loan in that community.
Wow.
So it's I can understand, in a big picture, you can take a look and say, well, look, FHA is only responsible for 40% of the market. So we should be able to come up with 30% of a community being able to have other products other than an FHA loan.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
On paper.
On paper, I see that. But where the rubber meets the road is if you're dealing with a homeowner association where the entrance price of the home is the first-time homeowners market.
Sure.
What percent of first-time home buyers uses FHA? I bet you it's a lot more than 40%.
Yeah, I bet it is.
I bet you it's 80, 90%.
It's got to be high.
Yeah. And so here you have a case where, on paper it's one thing, but we're talking about reality here, and we're talking with people that are so far removed from the market. You're talking about an organization that is not involved actively in closing loans.
Right.
They're not face-to-face across the table from this young buyer couple that wants to close their other home. They're not across the table from the homeowner who's not making anything on their home. It's actually coming with
Right.
some money to the table
Right.
just to be out from under it. They've
and
been
to
a
avoid foreclosure.
Yep, they've been a responsible homeowner. They're
Yep.
going to begin all over
Yep.
again. Someone else is going to buy, and that buyer is hoping for an FHA loan
Sure.
and can't get it.
Sure.
That's what
so
we're
you're
dealing with.
saying that the FHA is not it does not know enough about the industry and enough about what happens to really be good regulators. But if they were involved more in the industry, don't you think Jonathan Friedrichs would accuse them of conflict of interest?
Yes, well, he will anytime.
All right.
But you make a good point. We need people that are politicians, that are in bureaucrats who are involved in these areas and divisions. They need to be listening to the solid voices
Yes.
of the folks in our market and people that are in our country, and I don't think that they're doing that. There are some exceptions. Go through these real quickly. FHA does seem to be giving an exception. For example, they have had a rule that said if you have more than 15% of the homeowners delinquent with their dues,
They won't
give an FHA loan.
Okay.
But they will make an exception.
Okay.
And so others are saying it takes a while to go through that. You've got to go through a
I was
bunch
going
of
to say
hoops.
there's got to be a process where you
Yeah.
have to ask for that exception, and man, that can slow down the whole sales process.
Remember
can't it?
when we had Mike Cass on from MetLife
Uh-huh.
Home Loans? He talked about, and he said that the key is to make sure you have an experienced person who knows
There you go.
how to get those exceptions approved.
Yeah.
But because it is going to be a lot of work. It's not going to be real easy. The other one was FHA will make an exception. They say FHA loans are prohibited where fewer than 50% of the complex is considered owner-occupied. But if you have, again, a developer who's trying to be responsible
Sure.
and renting those out till he can sell them, you're going to have to understand that these are some of the things that are going to have to take place to get beyond this market
Yeah.
and into a better, more stable
Yeah.
time. Anyway, we're out of time, folks. Thanks so much for joining us. Join us next Sunday here on Where You Live with Gene and Tony. Until then, have a great rest of the Sunday. See you next week.